Well, good morning. Today, I want to challenge you to challenge me on this particular thing I'm going to be sharing with you today. You know, it's titled J.A.R, J-A-R. It's an acronym, and it stands for Judgment, Attachment, and Resistance. And the more when I learned about this, I started applying it to my callers. And what I learned over literally thousands of people, that every problem every one of them had was because they were either judging the situation as good or bad, they were attached to a specific outcome. In other words, their happiness was attached to a specific outcome. I'll be happy when I get the new house. I'll be happy when I change jobs. I'll be happy when I'm out of this relationship, or I'll be happy when I'm in a relationship. So they wanted that outcome really bad, right? So they had an attachment to an outcome. And the third thing was resistance. When they weren't getting the outcome they wanted, they fought it. They resisted it. They were upset. They were mad. They were judging the situation as bad. Why was it bad and not good? Because they weren't getting the outcome they wanted. They were attached to an outcome. So they're all three kind of intertwined: judgment, attachment, and resistance. And whenever you're not feeling happy or joyful or upset, it's because you're either doing one of those things or you're doing all three of them simultaneously. And I learned this the hard way. It took me years. And then once I finally got it and I started to become aware that whenever I was upset and I could feel myself being upset or unhappy or angry about anything, it was because I was judging, attaching, and resisting life as it is. I wanted it to be this way, and it was turning out this way. And it was creating all this upset for me, and anxiety and frustration. And so let's just take a look at the first one. I had mentioned Forrest Gump a while back, and one of the things that Forrest Gump did, like I said, he didn't have the intellectual capacity to judge, attach, or resist. That was the key to Forrest Gump having this incredible life. No judgment, whatever happened, no attachment to any outcome, and he didn't fight against life. He embraced it. And so, in practical terms, there are many things, and give you examples in my own life. Man, whenever I would judge something or good or bad, I would always immediately judge it because it wasn't going the way I want. And the silly thing about it is I was making judgments so quickly, I didn't even give the situation time to play out, which usually meant that something good would come out of it. And if it's true that opposites, that this planet is built on opposites, right? There's an opposite in everything. That means that when something bad happens, something good must also happen. Not just when something good happens that there's the opposite side of it attached to that. It's just like marriage. Marriage is automatically attached to divorce. Not that you're going to get a divorce or that you need a divorce, but the very fact is you cannot get divorced until you're married. So divorce is actually attached to marriage. So everything has its opposite. But with my little pea brain, I would always think if something bad happened, well, then everything was going to turn to shit. When then the reality is, when something bad happens, that means the opposite is close at hand. It's nearby. An example of that is I remember one time I was shopping to buy an investment property, found this property. My girlfriend was a real estate broker. She found this property before it actually got listed on the MLS. The very next morning, the day that it was supposed to be listed, at the AM, like 8 o'clock, I was on the phone calling the realtor to put in an offer on this property. And they said, oh, it's already been sold. Man, I was like, no freaking way this property's already sold. It's not even listed. It's been on the market for 30 seconds and it's been sold. You just sold it. And so I just knew that there was inside trading or something going on there, that it was squirrely and it was BS. And I was all upset, got in a big upset over this whole thing. And I carried that upset with me for probably 2 weeks, right? Seriously, because I thought it was going to be a good deal and whatever. Anyway, a month goes by and that same property pops up on the MLS. But check this out. It was $5,000 less than I was originally going to offer. And I got it. I bought it for $5,000 less than I was originally going to offer for the property a month earlier. And yet I pitched this big fit and was all upset. I was judging the situation before I even let it play out. And I didn't even know there might have been another property that would have been better. But I didn't give it any time. And this is what we have a tendency to do. We react rather than respond. We're constantly in a reaction mode. So that's the thing with judgment. Attachment is getting so bent on doing one thing that we close the door on all the other options. We're so attached that this is the thing that's going to bring me happiness that we don't open the door to the possibilities that maybe there's something that'll make me more happy. And we get so attached, and when we don't get that thing, we create all this upset because we don't think we're going to ever be happy. Because I knew if I got that property, buying that property at a good deal, that would make me happy. And the minute it was taken off the board, what was I? Unhappy, right? Because I immediately was so attached to that particular property that that was the thing that was going to make me happy. I was going to get this killer deal. And when it didn't happen, I was all upset, right? Because I was attached to a specific outcome. And the third thing is resisting whatever is. Instead of with the property, just flowing with it, I stewed over it for 2 weeks, creating all my misery, anger, and upset, rather than just going, all right, that means that there's another property, there's a better property, something else is going to come along that's going to work perfect for me, and just rolling with it. And so what I can tell you is, this is my challenge to you, that I said, I want you to challenge me on this. My challenge to you is this. Whenever you feel a sense of that upset stomach, that anxiety, that frustration, that anger, that sadness, whatever, I want you to look deeper and ask yourself, what is it that I'm judging right now is not good? What is it that I'm attached to? And what is it that I'm resisting? And I promise you, as you become more aware of how you feel, remember, our emotions are nothing more than the body reacting to the thoughts. So as soon as you feel bad, you know where it's coming from, your thoughts. So immediately go, and your thoughts are because you're judging, you're resisting, or you're attaching. And so I'm going to challenge you. Think about it. Whenever you start feeling bad, what's the outcome you're attached to that you're not getting? Are you fighting the situation? And are you judging it as good or bad? And so if you'll do that, I promise, the better you get at this, the more happy, joyful days you're going to live. Now, I had a situation, one last story. I had a situation where I was trying to shoot this indie film quite a while back. Easy, 10, 12, 14 years ago, whatever. Anyway, it was being financed. The indie film was being financed monthly. And what happened, the guy that was financing it, and we were shooting as we went along, the guy that has financed it got into some IRS trouble, owed the IRS something like $250,000, which is like 3 times the budget of the film. And we ended production. We stopped. I had shot 56 scenes of this movie, and it was grueling because I was doing all the work. But all my work went down the tube. So that's life. So I let it go, moved on. Well, 2 years later, without any correspondence from this guy, I get a letter in the mail, and I'm being sued for like $65,000 from this guy. He wanted the $65,000 that he'd already put in. He wanted that back because the film didn't get made. And immediately when I opened the letter and saw that I was being summoned to court, that I was being sued, I still remember it like it was yesterday. I'm in my kitchen. I opened the letter and I went, "You son of a..." And I stopped right there because I already felt the anger, right, coming up. And immediately I recognized that, what am I doing wrong? I'm thinking wrong. So I stopped and I had this letter in my hand and I went, all right, I am not going to judge this. Attach to an outcome or resist. So I said, is this good or bad? Is this lawsuit good or bad? It's neither. It's just a lawsuit. Anybody can sue anybody in this planet for anything. And part of doing business is the potential of getting sued, right? That's just the way it works. And so it wasn't good or bad. It was just life doing business. Somebody could sue you at any time for anything. So I immediately eliminated the judgment. All right, this isn't good or bad. It just is what it is. It's just a lawsuit. The attachment, I thought, am I going to be attached to this outcome? I can't afford to give away $65,000. And then I thought for a minute, wait a minute. I don't think I owe him $65,000. But what if I'm wrong? If I'm wrong, he obviously thinks I'm wrong. So I need to look at this from his point of view and go, maybe I did something wrong. If I owe him the $65,000, I need to pay him. If I invalidated the contract, then I owe him $65,000. So I thought, all right, I'm not going to be attached. If I owe him the money, I'll pay him. If I don't owe, but in the meantime, I'm going to do the best I can to articulate my side of the deal and to make sure that I don't owe him that and to show that side of it. So I immediately let go of the outcome. Immediately, right there in my kitchen, I decided I'm okay either way. Whether there were 7 counts in the lawsuit, whether I'm exonerated on all 7, that they're all bogus, or whether I have to pay 1 or all 7, I'm good with it. Because obviously I was wrong. If he proves it, then I'm wrong and I owe him the money. So I immediately detached from the outcome. I'm going to be happy no matter what happens. And the third thing was non-resistance. And I thought, I don't want to hire an attorney. Guess what? I need to hire an attorney. Do I want to? No. Am I going to fight this? No. Let it go. It's part of the process. Don't resist this. Call around, find an attorney, get one, and begin the process. Well, this particular lawsuit needed to be resolved in arbitration. It was in the contract. I still have the contract. So I called the attorney and I said, look, here's the deal. I'll give you all the email correspondence, everything that we had, all our communications, everything, worked with them. It took 18 months before we got to arbitration. But I have to tell you, because I had already made the decision that this was not a bad thing, I already made a decision that I'm okay with what either outcome, and I already made the decision that I wasn't going to resist the process. That 18 months was so easy, so simple, I never thought about it. I didn't have stress over it. I never worried about it. I had no anger about it. I just let it go. Put it in the hands of my attorneys, gave them the information I had. 18 months go by. We go to arbitration. I win on all 7 counts. It was a bogus lawsuit. Exactly what I thought. He was just broke. He needed money, and he was coming after me, trying to get it from me. And so my point being, though, is years earlier, without the understanding of judgment and attachment and resistance, that would have been 18 months of hell. I would have been stressed. I would have been pissed off. I would have been fighting the process. And so that's just an example of one thing. And I could give you a million where I reacted the opposite. I was judging, attaching, and resistance, and I made my life complete hell. I made it miserable. So my challenge to you is when you feel negativity, when you feel down, you feel anger, upset, no judgment, no attachment, no resistance. Anyway, hope that helps. Talk to you soon.